The SIGMA CODEX. The Unbound Path, SIGMA Life Strategies. Preface. The SIGMA path is one of paradox, and like all paradoxes, it resists easy explanation. To those who look from the outside, it appears contradictory, strength born of solitude, influence without the hunger to be seen, mastery without domination. Yet to those who walk it, the paradox dissolves. The contradictions are illusions cast by a society obsessed with hierarchy, status, and constant display. The Sigma is not the opposite of the Alpha nor the absence of the Beta. He is something different, a refusal to be bound by categories that were never built to hold him in the first place. This manual is not a manifesto of rebellion, though rebellion has its uses. It is not a handbook of conformity, though conformity has its comforts. It is instead a strategy of freedom, a way of moving through the world unbound. To live Sigma is not to reject the game nor to bow to it. It is to step off the board entirely and begin writing your own rules. Across history, men who lived this way were often misunderstood. They were called hermits, eccentrics, outlaws, prophets, warriors, and sometimes even madmen. But their common thread was not insanity or arrogance. It was clarity. They saw through the illusions of their time, whether those illusions were thrones and crowns, or temples and rituals, or today's currencies of likes and followers. What they understood is what the Sigma seeks: independence, detachment, sovereignty. When Sun Tzu wrote The Art of War, he was not writing for emperors who wanted to bask in glory. He was writing for commanders who needed to win without waste. His teaching was the supremacy of indirect victory, to subdue an enemy without fighting, to win before battle begins. Miyamoto Musashi, centuries later, echoed this in the Book of Five Rings: to strike decisively and return immediately to rhythm, to do nothing useless. Both men would recognize the Sigma archetype as one of their own descendants. For he applies their wisdom not only to battlefields of blood and steel, but to the battlefields of modern life, business, relationships, personal mastery, and the war against one's own weaker self. The Sigma is not better than others, he is simply unaligned. He does not kneel to hierarchy, nor does he demand to sit at the top of it. His weapon is independence. His armor is detachment. His power lies in the fact that he does not need what others crave. You cannot manipulate a man who does not hunger for your approval. You cannot control a man whose sense of worth is rooted in his own code. This book is not for the masses, because the Sigma path is not for the masses. It is for the few who feel out of place in the constant shouting of the crowd. For those who sense that their strength does not lie in competing for the spotlight but in quietly mastering themselves. For those who would rather be free than popular, grounded rather than celebrated. You may have been told that life is a ladder. That you must climb, step after step, fighting others for each rung. You may have been told that victory means being seen at the top, admired by those below. The Sigma sees differently. He steps off the ladder, walks his own terrain, and builds a fortress where others see only wilderness. He understands that the man who controls his own schedule, who cultivates his own mind, who moves on his own terms, already lives above the crowd. The preface is your invitation. If you are content with hierarchy, stay with it. If you crave the validation of the crowd, chase it. But if you feel the quiet pull of freedom, if you feel the weight of wasted hours, the noise of hollow victories, the suffocation of constant performance, then continue. This manual is not a map for every man. It is a calibration for the few who walk outside the hierarchies yet refuse weakness. Key takeaway: the Sigma path is not rebellion and not conformity. It is sovereignty. To walk it is to live unbound, guided not by the crowd's demands but by your own inner code. Chapter 17: The Long Game. Most live for the short term. They chase pleasure, applause, validation, the quick win. They trade the permanent for the immediate, mortgaging their lives for crumbs. The Sigma rejects this slavery. He plays the long game. The long game is not patience alone. It is vision. It is the ability to see beyond the frenzy of the present into the architecture of decades. It is the discipline to sacrifice now for power later. It is the refusal to be ruled by the tyranny of urgency. Sun Tzu wrote, "He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight." This is long-game wisdom, knowing that not every battle matters, not every skirmish is worth blood. The Sigma expends his energy only on wars that shift destiny. Everything else he lets pass. The crowd cannot play the long game because they crave immediacy. They want recognition now, results now, comfort now. They cannot delay gratification, so they spend their strength in fragments. The Sigma, by contrast, invests his strength. He plants seeds others cannot even see. Years later, while the crowd wonders at his sudden rise, he reaps what he has quietly sown. The long game demands sacrifice. Comfort must be delayed. Applause must be ignored. The Sigma is willing to look like he is losing in the short term because he knows the board extends beyond what others see. He understands that reputation, wealth, mastery, all compound over time. Small, consistent, disciplined action, multiplied by years, becomes unstoppable. Consider Warren Buffett, who built his empire not by chasing trends but by patiently investing for decades. Consider Musashi, who fought duel after duel, perfecting himself across years, not rushing to glory but accumulating mastery. Consider Marcus Aurelius, who ruled not by one great moment but by steady adherence to principle over decades. All played the long game. For the Sigma, this game requires vision. He must know what he is building toward. Without vision, patience is meaningless. He sketches the architecture of his life, what kind of man he will be, what kind of impact he will leave, what kind of legacy will endure. Every choice is weighed against this architecture. If it does not serve the long game, it is discarded. The long game also demands endurance. Years of obscurity, of being underestimated, of being ignored, these are not failures but investments. The Sigma accepts obscurity because he knows the crowd's attention is fickle, but substance endures. He would rather be underestimated for years than burn brightly and vanish. This long view changes how the Sigma sees time. A setback today is nothing in the scale of decades. A rejection, a failure, a humiliation, these are not endings but footnotes. He zooms out and recognizes that one bad day cannot undo a decade of discipline. The crowd magnifies the present, the Sigma dilates time. But the long game is not passive waiting. It is active construction. The Sigma builds daily, brick by brick, patiently, strategically. He does not wait for opportunity, he prepares for it. He does not hope for fortune, he positions for it. When opportunity appears, he is ready, and what looks like luck is revealed as preparation. The Stoics remind us, fortune cannot be controlled, but preparation always can. The Sigma takes this to heart. He does not depend on luck. He prepares, endures, and waits. He knows fortune favors the disciplined. The long game is Sigma vision. It is patience combined with architecture, sacrifice combined with endurance. While others chase immediacy, the Sigma builds permanence. Key takeaway: the long game is Sigma vision. It is patience combined with architecture, sacrifice combined with endurance. While others chase immediacy, the Sigma builds permanence. Chapter 18: The Fortress of Emotional Control. Power is not only strength of body or brilliance of mind. Power is the ability to master the storm within. The Sigma knows this: if you are ruled by emotion, you will be ruled by anyone who knows how to trigger it. The crowd is endlessly manipulated because they cannot govern their feelings. They are enraged by insults, seduced by flattery, broken by rejection, inflated by praise. To the Sigma, such volatility is weakness. Emotional control is his fortress. But control does not mean suppression. Suppression is merely denial dressed as discipline. The Sigma does not bury emotions, he transforms them. Anger becomes fuel. Fear becomes awareness. Sadness becomes depth. Joy becomes gratitude. He does not eliminate feelings but directs them, like a general marshalling his troops. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology. Marcus Aurelius counseled himself daily: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The The Sigma applies this not in abstraction but in practice. When insulted, he does not lash out. He measures. When provoked, he does not explode. He decides. When rejected, he does not collapse. He redirects. This fortress is not built overnight. Emotional control requires relentless training. The Sigma studies his triggers. He notices when anger rises, when envy bites, when fear constricts. He watches without judgment. By naming the emotion, he diminishes its power. He becomes the observer, not the slave. Modern men are drowned in reactivity. Social media thrives on outrage. News cycles are engineered to provoke. Advertisements manipulate insecurity. Everywhere, feelings are pulled like strings. The Sigma cuts those strings. He chooses his responses. He asks, does this serve my strategy? If not, it has no claim on my energy. Consider Musasha. He entered duels not frothing with rage but calm, detached, even playful. His calmness unnerved opponents who mistook fury for strength. He knew that control, not frenzy, wins battles. Similarly, Marcus Aurelius wrote as Rome collapsed around him, yet his tone remained steady, disciplined, unbroken. Their fortresses were not built of stone but of mastery over the self. This emotional control makes the Sigma unpredictable. The crowd expects outrage, panic, or desperation. The Sigma offers none. He remains poised. His stillness becomes terrifying because it suggests depth others cannot fathom. In negotiation, he cannot be rushed. In conflict, he cannot be baited. In romance, he cannot be manipulated. But this does not make him cold. Emotional control allows the Sigma to feel more deeply, not less. He is not numbed, he is refined. He can experience joy without addiction, grief without collapse, love without desperation. He is free to feel fully because he is not enslaved by feeling. In practice, he cultivates this fortress through rituals, meditation to sharpen awareness, journaling to map his inner terrain, physical training to transmute stress into strength. Each practice is a brick in the wall. Slowly, the fortress rises. Slowly, he becomes unassailable. Key takeaway: emotional control is Sigma power. By mastering his responses, he becomes untouchable to manipulation, unshaken by provocation, and free to channel his feelings toward strategy and strength. Chapter 19: The Dance with Chaos. The Sigma does not seek chaos, but he does not fear it. Where the crowd panics, the Sigma steadies. Where others collapse, he adapts. He understands that life is not order alone but the constant interplay between order and chaos. To reject chaos is to reject half of reality. To dance with it is to become powerful. Chaos is volatility, unpredictability, the collapse of plans. To most, it is terror. But to the Sigma, chaos is opportunity. Sun Tzu wrote, "In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity." The Sigma takes this as commandment. He positions himself so that when the world unravels, he is not broken, he is elevated. Chaos reveals truth. It strips away illusions of control. It shows who has prepared and who has not, who can endure and who cannot. The Sigma welcomes this revelation. He knows his strength is not measured when skies are clear but when storms rage. To dance with chaos is to cultivate adaptability. The Sigma does not cling rigidly to plans. He makes them, but he does not worship them. When the situation shifts, he shifts. He does not freeze, he flows. Like water, he takes the shape of whatever vessel reality pours him into. Consider entrepreneurs who rise during recessions. While others panic, they expand. Consider leaders in wartime who remain calm, shifting strategy while others crumble. Consider Musasha, who improvised weapons from oars or staffs when swords were unavailable, yet still won. All reveal Sigma adaptability, the dance with chaos. This adaptability requires confidence. The crowd seeks guarantees. They cling to stability because they doubt their ability to survive disruption. The Sigma trusts his capacity. He knows he can rebuild, recover, redirect. He does not need stability to feel secure because his security comes from within. The dance with chaos is also creative. New ideas are born when old structures collapse. New power is seized when old rulers stumble. The Sigma watches carefully during upheaval. He does not react wildly, he identifies openings invisible to the frantic. The Stoics prepared for chaos by rehearsing worst-case scenarios. What is the worst that can happen? And if it happens, how will I endure? Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily that death, loss, betrayal, all are natural. To expect chaos is to disarm it. The Sigma follows this path. He anticipates storms, so when they come, he is not surprised. Yet, the Sigma does not only endure chaos, he uses it. He thrives where others cannot function. His calmness becomes leverage. His adaptability becomes advantage. His patience becomes weapon. To outsiders, it looks like luck. In truth, it is preparation meeting chaos. To dance with chaos is not to love disorder blindly but to engage it strategically. It is to step into turbulence with balance, to remain grounded while shifting. It is the martial art of life itself. Chaos is Sigma opportunity. By adapting, flowing, and staying steady, he turns volatility into leverage and emerges stronger where others break. Chapter 20: The Weight of Solitude. Solitude is often misunderstood. The crowd imagines it as loneliness, as exile, as punishment. They cannot bear to be alone with themselves, so they fill every silence with noise, every stillness with distraction. But the Sigma knows solitude is not absence, it is presence. It is the sharpening of self when the world is stripped away. It is the crucible in which identity is forged. For the Sigma, solitude is weight training for the soul. Each moment of stillness builds resilience. Each hour alone deepens clarity. He does not fear solitude because he knows himself. To the uninitiated, silence is terrifying. To the Sigma, silence is music. Think of monks who withdraw to the mountains, warriors who meditate before battle, philosophers who retreat into their own reflections. Musasha spent his final years in a cave, writing the Book of Five Rings, distilling a lifetime of combat into timeless principles. He did not see solitude as deprivation but as refinement. Marcus Aurelius wrote his meditations not in the Senate but in tents, alone in thought while war burned outside. Great men have always turned solitude into strength. Solitude is heavy, yes, but it is a chosen weight. Like a barbell, it feels crushing until it builds muscle. The Sigma bears it to grow. He uses solitude to cut away illusions. Without the constant feedback of others, he learns what he truly thinks, what he truly values. The crowd runs from solitude because it unmasks them. Alone, they must face the emptiness they try to hide. Their phones, their entertainment, their chatter, all are escapes. Take them away, and they collapse. The Sigma is different. He does not collapse into solitude, he expands into it. This weight transforms him. He learns patience. He learns perspective. He learns independence not just of action but of thought. He no longer needs validation to confirm his path. He validates himself. In practice, solitude can be cultivated. The Sigma carves time alone each day, for reflection, for reading, for training, for silence. He may walk without music, sit without screens, eat without company. These are not deprivations, they are investments. Slowly, solitude becomes familiar, then comfortable, then powerful. Modern life conspires against solitude. Notifications, meetings, constant availability, they erode inner space. The Sigma fights for it as one fights for territory. He defends silence as sacred. He knows that without solitude, the fortress of self crumbles. Solitude also reveals priorities. When stripped of the crowd, what remains? What pursuits fill the Sigma's hours when no one is watching? These answers reveal truth. Solitude is the audit that never lies. Yet solitude is not isolation. The Sigma can walk among others, love others, work with others. But he never depends on them for identity. He enters relationships whole, not desperate. He joins groups by choice, not necessity. This freedom is purchased in solitude. Key takeaway: solitude is Sigma weight training for the soul. By bearing it willingly, he sharpens clarity, builds independence, and becomes whole, unmasked, unafraid, unbreakable. The arena of power. The Sigma does not reject power. He simply rejects shallow power. For him, true power is not domination over others but sovereignty over self, and the ability to shape reality without begging for permission. The crowd misunderstands power as titles, likes, followers, money without discipline. The Sigma knows those are shadows. Power is substance. The arena of power is not only political or financial. It is everywhere decisions are made, everywhere influence flows. The Sigma does not need to be the loudest voice to shape outcomes. Often, he is the quiet architect while others battle visibly. He knows that unseen influence often outweighs visible authority. Musasha wrote of striking where the enemy does not expect. The same applies to power. The Sigma positions himself where leverage is high and visibility is low. He enters the arena not to boast but to maneuver. But power is dangerous. It intoxicates. The crowd, when they gain a taste, lose themselves. They become arrogant, careless, dependent on applause. The Sigma disciplines himself to treat power as a tool, not an identity. He does not confuse access with essence. The Stoics warned of this. Seneca wrote that true wealth is measured not by what you possess but by what you can do without. Similarly, true power is measured not by how much you control but by how little you need control to remain sovereign. The Sigma can step away from the arena if it corrupts. This voluntary detachment makes him stronger than those addicted to influence. The arena of power tests character. When the Sigma enters it, whether in business, politics, relationships, or any contest, he asks not only, "Can I win?" but "Should I win?" He filters ambition through integrity. This makes his power durable. Consider leaders who rise quickly but fall just as fast. They lacked the compass of integrity, so power devoured them. Contrast this with men who built steadily, quietly, patiently. Their power endures because it is rooted in self-mastery. The Sigma understands leverage. He knows that in every arena, a small advantage, well used, outweighs brute force. A single decision can shift decades. A single alliance can outmaneuver armies. Power is not about energy expended but energy directed. This is why the Sigma plays long games in power arenas. He may forego early victories, let rivals exhaust themselves, and strike when timing aligns. His patience makes him dangerous. His invisibility makes him underestimated. And his detachment makes him incorruptible. In the modern world, power arenas shift constantly: corporate hierarchies, media platforms, digital influence, global politics. The Sigma does not try to control them all. He studies which arenas matter to his goals. He chooses battles carefully. He invests where leverage is high, ignores where it is low. Ultimately, the arena of power reveals the Sigma's discipline. He does not fight every fight. He does not crave every crown. He shapes reality with precision, not frenzy. He remembers, sovereignty first, influence second. Without sovereignty, all power is slavery. Key takeaway: power is Sigma precision. In every arena, he moves strategically, disciplines his ambition, and guards his sovereignty. He influences without addiction, controls without corruption, and always retains the option to walk away. Chapter 22: The Mirror of Mortality. The Sigma walks with death at his shoulder, not as a shadow of despair but as a compass of clarity. Most men avoid the thought of death, clinging to distractions, numbing themselves with busyness, pretending the end will never come. The Sigma does the opposite. He looks directly into mortality's mirror and, instead of fear, he finds urgency, humility, and purpose. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." For the crowd, such a reminder is paralyzing. For the Sigma, it is liberating. It cuts away trivialities. It makes every choice sharp. When you remember death, gossip fades. When you remember death, pettiness becomes absurd. When you remember death, clarity arrives like lightning. This is not morbid obsession, it is strategic awareness. Mortality is the great equalizer. Kings and beggars, conquerors and forgotten men, all meet the same silence. The Sigma does not deny this. He uses it. Every day is weighed against the truth that it may be the last. This awareness breeds intensity without hysteria, focus without panic. The samurai practiced meditation on death, envisioning their demise each morning. By rehearsing death, they freed themselves from its terror. In the same way, the Sigma confronts mortality daily, not to collapse into dread but to become fearless. What threat can shake a man who has already accepted the inevitable? Modern culture hides death behind hospitals, euphemisms, and distractions. It sells youth as permanence. The Sigma sees through this. He knows life is a vanishing gift. Every conversation may be the last. Every project may remain unfinished. This awareness sharpens gratitude and urgency. Imagine two men, one assumes endless time, so he postpones, hesitates, indulges in distractions. The other knows time is scarce, so he chooses deliberately, acts decisively, loves fully. The Sigma is the second. His mortality awareness turns him into a strategist of days. He asks, if this were my last day, would I spend it this way? Often, the answer reshapes his priorities. Mortality also dissolves ego. Fame, wealth, approval, none survive the grave. Remembering this, the Sigma avoids vanity traps. He builds not for applause but for meaning. His legacy is not likes on a screen but strength in the lives he touched and clarity in the truths he lived. Musashi embodied this. On his deathbed, he composed The Way of Walking Alone, a manifesto of detachment, discipline, and clarity. Facing mortality, he distilled life into principles that endure centuries later. Death did not diminish him, it revealed his essence. The Sigma treats mortality as mentor. Each sunset whispers, "Did you live today fully?" Each dawn asks, "What will you do with this fragile gift?" He answers not with excuses but with action. Key takeaway: mortality is Sigma clarity. By facing death daily, he strips away trivialities, acts with urgency, dissolves ego, and lives with sharpened purpose. Chapter 23: The Legacy of the Invisible Hand. The Sigma does not crave statues or applause. His legacy is not carved in marble but in invisible influence, subtle shifts, lives changed quietly. Where the Alpha seeks recognition, the Sigma seeks resonance. He knows that what endures is not noise but depth. Legacy, for the Sigma, is not about being remembered by the many. It is about leaving an imprint on the few, the right few. The student who rises because of his guidance. The child who carries his values. The stranger who alters course after a brief encounter. These are invisible hands shaping futures. Ryan Holiday often speaks of the canvas strategy, to help others succeed without demanding credit. The Sigma practices this instinctively. He does not need the spotlight because his fulfillment comes from the work itself, not from applause. His legacy moves quietly, like roots feeding a tree that others climb without ever seeing the source. Consider the teachers whose names vanish, yet whose lessons ripple through generations. Consider the strategists who remained nameless while kings took the glory, yet whose insights won empires. Consider Musashi, who in his writings gave principles far beyond his own lifespan. Their influence is invisible yet undeniable. The Sigma aims for this. He is less concerned with how long his name survives and more concerned with how deeply his impact resonates. He plants seeds he may never see grow. He invests in truths that outlast trends. Legacy also demands discipline. Many men destroy their legacies by indulging in vanity, corruption, or compromise. The Sigma avoids this by aligning legacy with integrity. He asks, what remains if my name is forgotten? What remains if my deeds are stripped of context? If the answer is strength, clarity, and truth, then his legacy is secure. Modern culture confuses legacy with branding. Companies chase visibility, individuals chase fame. The Sigma ignores this frenzy. He knows visibility fades quickly. What endures is substance, the lives altered, the principles embodied, the truths preserved. This invisible hand gives the Sigma freedom. He does not need constant recognition. He can act in silence, knowing influence does not require spotlight. In fact, often the greatest influence is the quietest. A whisper can outlast a shout if it strikes at the right moment, in the right soul. He crafts his legacy through daily discipline, integrity in choices, consistency in effort, authenticity in relationships. Over decades, these form an invisible monument no storm can erode. His life itself becomes his message, regardless of whether his name survives. Key takeaway: legacy is Sigma invisibility. By shaping lives quietly, aligning with integrity, and planting seeds beyond himself, he builds an influence deeper and more durable than fame. Chapter 24: The War Within. The greatest battlefield is not in the boardroom, nor on the field of combat, nor in the markets of wealth. It is within. The Sigma knows that before he can master environments, rivals, or systems, he must master himself. This is the war within, constant, subtle, unrelenting. For most men, the enemy is always external: the competitor, the economy, the critic. For the Sigma, the true enemy is internal: fear, doubt, weakness, laziness, ego. External enemies may strike once, internal enemies attack daily. And unless defeated, they sabotage every effort. The war within is not glamorous. There are no medals for refusing to procrastinate, no applause for conquering temptation, no ovations for wrestling with despair. But these victories determine destiny more than any outward contest. Sun Tzu declared, "If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles." Knowing yourself is not easy. It requires stripping away illusions, facing discomfort, interrogating motives. The Sigma commits to this process because he knows the war within sets the terms for every external war. Consider ego, perhaps the most dangerous adversary. It whispers lies, that you already know enough, that you deserve without effort, that you are invincible. Many kings and CEOs fell not to rivals but to unchecked ego. The Sigma counters by cultivating humility, by practicing what Ryan Holiday calls ego is the enemy. Consider fear: paralyzing, suffocating, relentless. Fear prevents men from starting businesses, pursuing relationships, speaking truth. The Sigma does not wait for fear to vanish, he moves in spite of it. Fear becomes his sparring partner. Each time he acts despite fear, he weakens its grip. Consider sloth, the invisible thief of greatness. Laziness does not announce itself with fanfare, it creeps silently, stealing minutes, then hours, then years. The Sigma fights this with discipline. He treats time as currency and refuses waste. Where others scroll endlessly, he sharpens skills. Where others sleepwalk, he trains. The war within also includes the battle against despair. Life is unpredictable. Plans collapse. Loved ones die. Fortunes shift. The Sigma feels pain like anyone, but he resists surrender. He remembers the Stoics: it is not what happens to you but how you react that matters. Despair tempts him to stop. Discipline commands him forward. Every morning, the Sigma re-enters this battlefield. He asks, will I conquer myself today? Will I choose discipline over ease, humility over arrogance, courage over fear? The war never ends. Victory is daily, fragile, temporary. But over time, the cumulative effect is unshakable strength. This is why the Sigma invests so deeply in habits, routines, rituals. These are not superstitions but weapons. Journaling, training, meditation, study, all sharpen his inner arsenal. Each habit is a fortification against weakness. Each ritual is a soldier in the war within. When others fail, it is rarely due to external enemies. It is because they lost this war. They let ego blind them, fear paralyze them, laziness sap them. The Sigma refuses this fate. He knows that if he wins within, he wins everywhere. Key takeaway: the war within is Sigma's greatest battlefield. By defeating ego, fear, laziness, and despair daily, he builds unbreakable sovereignty and ensures victory in every external arena. Chapter 25: The Summit and the Abyss. Life oscillates between peaks and valleys, triumphs and trials. The Sigma understands that greatness is not measured only at the summit but also in how one navigates the abyss. Most men can perform well when the wind is at their back. Few can remain composed when storms rage. The Sigma commits to mastering both. At the summit, the danger is arrogance. Success blinds. Victories inflate ego. Comfort seduces discipline into dormancy. The Sigma resists by remembering impermanence. He recalls Marcus Aurelius, "Soon you will have forgotten the world, and soon the world will have forgotten you." This keeps him grounded. At the summit, he stays vigilant, sharpening skills, expanding perspective, refusing stagnation. At the abyss, the danger is despair. Defeat whispers that it is permanent. Pain convinces men they are cursed. But the Sigma knows valleys are teachers. Every abyss refines him, stripping away weakness, revealing truths only suffering uncovers. In darkness, he discovers resilience. Think of great figures: Lincoln defeated in elections before becoming president, Mandela imprisoned for decades before leading a nation, entrepreneurs bankrupt before reshaping industries. Their abyss seasons forged their summit triumphs. The Sigma internalizes this pattern: abyss is preparation. The summit and the abyss are not opposites but complements. Both test character. Both reveal flaws. Both demand humility. The Sigma does not cling to peaks nor dread valleys. He flows between them, steady, detached, resolute. This perspective gives him endurance. He does not chase constant highs nor collapse at lows. He expects cycles. He uses them. Summits remind him of possibility, abysses remind him of resilience. Together, they forge balance. Modern society sells constant summits, endless pleasure, constant success, perpetual growth. This illusion breeds fragility. When valleys arrive, the crowd shatters. The Sigma is different. He prepares for valleys, just as he prepares for peaks. He knows storms will come, and when they do, he stands ready. At the summit, he practices gratitude and humility. In the abyss, he practices patience and endurance. Both sharpen him. Both serve him. Both are necessary. Ultimately, the Sigma measures success not by avoiding abysses or clinging to summits, but by remaining sovereign in both. He is unmoved by praise, unbroken by loss, uncorrupted by comfort, undestroyed by pain. This equilibrium makes him unstoppable. Key takeaway: summits and abysses are Sigma's dual teachers. By mastering both with humility and endurance, he transcends circumstance and becomes sovereign in all seasons. End of SIGMA Masterclass. Part 2.